the market definitely has rebounded aggressively. There is a lot of hype in certain sections of it. As we've said though, conditions are really good for investors with low interest rates longer for longer, and I think the government's stimulus is playing a part in profitability of companies, and the upcoming reporting season is going to be very important. But I guess the main message is to keep calm and carry on, because over time it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. So you need to forget about the FOMO, or a fear of missing out, and and it's juxtaposed by the throwing out the baby with the bathwater at the start of the crisis. But now I think the rubber's hitting the road, so we need to look at the financials. But you also not to place undue emphasis on long tail events. So the fact that there might be a crash at some point in the market, like, that's a low probability, and I think investors need to remember that we just need to really focus on what the underlying fundamentals are of the companies and what their maintainable earnings, and that's where we come in. That's what we'll be focusing on this reporting season. Well, gold's definitely been a part of under the radar's portfolio approach over the 10 years or so that we've been around, and that's because it's like the ultimate hedge against money printing or quantitative easing. So it's the ultimate hedge against US dollar weakness, and I guess it's also benefiting at the moment from low interest rates and the unparalleled economic uncertainty that's a result of the current health crisis. But against that, you've got like a lot of hype, and you've got when you hear a high school student recommending a gold stock, you start thinking, well, maybe it's time to sell. But at the moment, we don't think selling's the right option. We think holding on is the correct strategy. And in the same token, we don't think buying is necessarily a good idea. So what we're looking at is, I guess, the stocks that we've supported over the long term, Northern Star and Evolution. We still like their fundamentals, but we'd be cautious at the moment, and we're always on the lookout for buying opportunities. We've been doing a lot of stuff. I mean, we've certainly been tipping some companies recently, some new stocks which subscribers have been benefiting from. But for every princess, we've kissed a lot of frogs, and that's no exaggeration. We have been looking at loads and loads of companies, because there's lots of IPOs coming out, and there's lots of companies that are certainly of interest. But I guess the difference is with many companies is their track record. They haven't got much of a track record, and there's a lot of hype. And last week we went through the 7 criteria that we look at companies, and I urge subscribers to read that, because that's very much our touchstone on what we look at in terms of whether a criteria matches up and is a quality company, because that's what we're looking to provide for subscribers, and that is quality companies at low prices. And if we can't do that, we're not going to advise they buy them. There's lots of companies in the upcoming issue, because we're covering a couple that have reported, Alliance Aviation and Nick Scali, but we're also covering 10 stocks that are yet to report, and we're looking at them in relation to that 7 criteria that I mentioned. So that's important, because at the moment the companies aren't going to be completely aware of where their financials are, because things have been so uncertain. There's a lot of reading between the lines that we're going to be doing. So we're going to be looking at where the expectations of the market are. In the next period, we'll be looking at what they say and what their maintainable earnings are, because over the long term, companies' equities are priced on where investors believe they can generate income consistently. And that's what we're looking to do, and that's why people need to keep an eye on the small caps, because if you get that maintainable earnings plus earnings growth, you can make a lot of money.